Well, hi everyone. My name is Msaki, and I'm a singer-songwriter. I'm a composer. I think I'm an underground poet, and I'm also finding ways to make space for my visual art in this space as well. I'm really happy that the school, the National School of the Arts, is here. I had an amazing experience with them when we were recording Tiny Desk concerts. And I'm just really glad that synchronicity has brought us here, because I was hoping to come and visit your school to do this very thing. And Nongeba hit me up and said that this is happening. So I think it's going to be time well spent, and I can't wait to share a few things and hopefully get some time to engage as well. Okay, it's fine. I'm going to sing now, so it's fine. So I'm going to talk to you guys about two things. I have this concept called the song catcher, and I want to share the difference between what I call the song catcher and the songwriter with you, and sort of try to see if we can equip both together today. And hopefully there'll be a bit of time so that we can engage, and I can tell you why I did that, and hopefully sing one more thing that will make sense. So then, yeah, I was going to say the first thing I wanted to talk about is the songwriter, and I think this is where, people will find ways to teach themselves, will go to school, will equip almost like the left brain side of how they engage music, right? This is essentially what I'm talking about. I'm trying to give a way for you to be a better songwriter, but also I'm a student of creativity. So first and foremost, what I want to share with you is a book that's changed my life. This is an author called Julia Cameron. I don't know if you guys have come across this at all. It's called The Artist's Way. It really helps give you structure. It helps give you ways out of ruts. It helps you understand your own tools and how to make a creative environment so that you can thrive, and also understand your seasons, your ebb and flow, when you're most productive, when you need to rest. And I just wanted to read some basic principles of creativity from here, if I may. Just because I'm a student of creativity and fascinated by it, and I think anybody that is thinking about songwriting is obviously thinking about genuine and broad creativity and how they engage with that part of themselves. So just a few things she says, basic principles. Creativity is the natural order of life. Life is energy, pure creative energy. There is an underlying, indwelling creative force infusing all of life, including ourselves. In fact, before I carry on with Julia's amazing words that sound really chakra-hanish, if we can actually close our eyes together and just declare that we are super creative beings and that we are connected to an infinite creative source that you have access to all the time. So you can just close your eyes and literally repeat after me, okay? Whatever you need to do, close your eyes, open them, but just repeat after me. I am a creative being. I am connected to an infinite creative source. That's all. You can say that again to yourself in the silence. You can say that before you start working. And I think it's just something that you can say and wash over yourself whenever you're thinking about embarking on, trying something, whether you're scared, whether you're sure. She says, we ourselves are creations, and in turn, we are meant to continue creativity by being our creative selves. Creativity is a gift. Using our creativity is our gift back to the universe. The refusal to be creative is self-will and is counter to our true nature. When we open ourselves to exploring our creativity, we open ourselves up to God or the universe and good orderly direction. And what that means, like a sort of natural life flow. I don't know if you've ever done something that you're not supposed to do. Like, I once tried to be a lawyer. I felt like I was swimming upstream every day. And then when I turned myself to what I think is essentially my purpose, there was a click, there was an alignment. It didn't mean that there were no problems, it just meant that my day had flow. I wasn't fighting myself, I didn't feel like I was walking uphill all the time. There was, an enabling to be myself. So I think that's what she means by good orderly direction. And lastly, as we open our creative channel to the Creator, many gentle but powerful changes are to be expected. So I wish you guys a lot of changes. I'm going to go back to I'm still hearing a lot of reverb. I don't know why. It's really making me feel like there's 7 Asandas here. So the songwriter, as I said, you build it by things like, going to YouTube channels, studying music, learning your scales. It's really like a left brain exercise. And besides the practice of it and like picking up skills and spending time with your instrument, with your ideas, with your voice, which you guys know quite a lot about, there's something else I kind of want you to think about when you are engaging in your left brain. Your ways of making. Have you acknowledged your patterns? Do you understand your starting points? Are you a person that has a formula? Do you do verse, bridge, chorus? Are you aware of how you create? The first thing is being aware. Being aware of your own crutches, being aware of your own comfortable spaces, and also being aware of your strengths. So for me, an awareness of your strengths and your weaknesses is probably one of the best tools you can have as a creative. And I find it quite freeing, actually, when I realize that, the weakness is here. It's either you build it, or it is an answer or an invitation to collaborate, One of my favorite duos is Benny Taupin and Elton John. And Elton was like, I don't really write words. But Benny didn't make music, he didn't write music, and he had the words and Elton had the music. And I think there hasn't been, there's been greater pop duos, but they're quite a formidable force together. And I love the fact that they met each other at their weaknesses. My passion besides creativity is collaboration and making space for it. And a principle I think I saw you guys displaying quite well when I observed you was that, like, to be able to collaborate with someone, you need to understand what it is that makes them different to you, and you almost have to silently be a cheerleader for it. You need to celebrate it. Otherwise, that collaboration has got a weird energy. It's a competitive collaboration. It's not a collaboration full of honor. So even at this age, I would urge you to really celebrate the thing that makes the other person unique. And that, to me, always brings about the healthiest, most fruitful, most interesting collaborations. And if you find what you want to say together and you serve the soul of the song, chances are you guys are going to make something that you both couldn't have made individually, something that is going to be exponentially more beautiful. And that's the power of collaboration. Going back to kind of like practical tools, even just like an example of how do you write? Do you use sounds into words? Do you use words into sounds? Do you start with the music and then the lyrics? the awareness means to me that you can then switch it up. If you feel like you're in a rut, maybe the first thing to do is to reverse your process. If you usually start with the music, maybe start with words. If you usually know what you want to say, maybe mumble. If you usually mumble, maybe sit with a pen and paper and have a form and give yourself structure before you go to the unknown. But having an awareness is always going to give you a chance to back it up when things aren't working, or switch it up when you want a different sound or you want a different result. So examine your process, make notes of it, and deliberately start things differently to get different results. And then I want to also say, it's good to play to your strengths. I'm a songwriter that knows my limitations, and I really set myself up to win every time I write a song. You know, I don't do vocal gymnastics. I do what is comfortable for me, and I don't feel the pressure to do any. I don't feel the pressure to sing like an R&B star. And you know, I think it's beautiful to understand yourself and to really, really create so that you shine. Create, and it doesn't mean don't push your range. It doesn't mean don't try something else. It just means there's nothing wrong with playing to your strengths and building that, because that leads to my last point when it comes to this sort of way of thinking, and that is developing a signature and developing a sound. At this point, I think you're exploring. Some of you may already have developed a distinct sound, and that's incredible. But if you think about how like Timbaland would put vocals into his beats, if you think about how Kabza the Small beat starts and you're like, this sounds familiar. If you think about how a Sanal musician has now got a sound that he's created because of a set of signifiers, codes. This is also my favorite thing about visual art, is that some people come to them because they have a signature. You know, people go to Banksy for Banksy. People go to Loyiso Mkhize for Loyiso Mkhize. You know, people will go to that guy that makes those marks. They'll be like, we have a building, there's a blank space. We need you to be yourself on that building. You know, that mural needs you. They don't dictate how you fill the blank space. And that's because those people have taken time to develop a signature. And that just means understanding codes and understanding the idea of repetition, but also using it well and leaving space to still sound interesting and new. That's the last thing I have to say about this sort of part. I guess one more thing. You know, it also helps to understand what voice are you using. Even as an instrumentalist, what are you speaking in first person? You know, are you, as a writer, are you talking, are you preaching? Are you speaking as yourself? Is this a diary entry? Are you speaking hypothetically? Have you, how are you addressing the people that you're addressing, if you're into words? And even as a musician, or even as an instrumentalist, or a person who's dealing with sonics, you know, how are you communicating? And that's also a way that you can start developing a signature. Cool, so I'm going to play you one more thing before I talk about the song catcher. Does anybody want to say anything before I carry on? Is that a thing? Do I just need to keep going? Just keep going? Okay. So the first song I played was called Gibelingwengwezi, and it is based on a series of chords that is pretty similar to these C's as well. And I had an album called Zaneliza where I had this recurring theme where these C's every time they came back sonically, they had a theme. Either I was tackling something to do with the water, I was talking about, back and forth across the sea, your memory sinks there among the unburied. Back and forth across the sea, your memory floats there among the unburied. See the ribbon around your heart, the ribbon around your heart. Who's it for? Who is it for now? There's a kink in the rhythm, a kink in the ribbon of your heart. Please guard your heart, my love. And that was from a song called Wait for the War. And then the same chords came back, I think maybe slightly transposed, in a song called Liwa Lenhliziyo. Kuwe, iliwa lenhliziyo yam, kuwe, iliwa lenhliziyo yam, kuwe, sabelo sando, sabelana. So I'm sharing that with you just because I want to encourage you to be geeks. I love writing with motifs. I love thematic stuff. I love musicals. I love it when songs come back, you know, in a slightly different form. And then there's a string theme that does the same melody that opened the scene. Like, it's such a beautiful way. And I still want to encourage you to think about story and to think about the broader picture, especially in a world where people are breaking things down into singles and nobody has the patience for an album. It's apparently the death of the album. It doesn't matter. I think even when you are sharing, you know, little bits of pieces, there's nothing wrong with you thinking about how it all connects. I've found something about the way that I create, that there's a thread through all my songs. There's always a thread of hope. And I'm understanding that through projects that are different, that's the one thing that I can sort of track. You know, even when the songs are dark and sad, we sort of come up on the other side. And that's the thing about story, and that's the thing about understanding your overall sound. Right. This leads me to speaking about the song catcher. The song catcher for me is what I was touching on at the beginning when I was talking about creativity and being connected to the source. For those that aren't really into, that have sort of like, how do I say it? You believe in this matter, you believe in this flesh and this energy, and you don't think that there's a beyond, that's fine. This also, I think, applies to you, because even on a physical or a scientific level, what you sing over yourself, you're 70% water, what you say over yourself sort of manifests itself in your cells, and physically you're creating whether you're aware of it or not. You're connected to something, matter. You know, even if you don't believe in some other beyond or inner world that connects to something else. You know, I believe in this internal library that connects to a greater subconscious, and I think sometimes people will even catch the same song, you know. And maybe that makes me a bit of a fairy, but I need you to humor me and sort of believe with me so that I can share this next part. And if it doesn't apply, it's really fine. I think we can even geek out on quantum physics on another time, and I can talk to you about how that relates to music, and we can leave the chakrahan stuff out of it as well. But because I am a chakrahan, I would say song catcher, you know, is that thing. Like, it is all about how can you quiet yourself so that you can hear the song, the now song. There's always a song. There's a song right now. And if we had to sort of sit and be like, it's a spirit of improvisation, but it's a posture, it's a hard posture of being able to listen. And if you know, and it's got things to do with, how's your mental health? Are you sleeping? How are your relationships? Do you think you're just a mere vessel, you know? What is your relationship with creativity? Do you have writer's block right now? Are you in open mode creativity or closed mode creativity? And that sort of means, you know, are you in a space where you're exploring and you're letting ideas swirl without making conclusions? Or are you trying to finalize things? Something that I noticed about myself when I started moving up and down between the Eastern Cape and Johannesburg was that, my leg is dying, was that when I'm in Joburg, there's an energy that shifts me into closed mode creativity where I want to conclude things. When I'm at home, close to the sea, I'll ruminate on ideas for a while. I'll chase an idea for a week. I'll sort of let it swirl in my space, and I'll write a song over a couple of days, not trying to close it. And I just noticed that about myself, because I find that my creativity is quite connected to geography and story. So the song catcher, it needs to be nurtured differently. It's not the same as you building a muscle, you know. A quick detour, actually. For writer's block, I always recommend doing something cerebral. Like if you're struggling to finish writing like sort of a philosophical piece or a song or something super creative, I always say do something mundane. Go and practice your skills. go and practice something that doesn't require you to think. Do something mechanical that may lead you into a space that's more creative. Sharpen your toolbox, you know. Do all those things where you're like, let's reverse, let me try something different. But yeah, just a quick note about that. The song catcher is something that I find also collaborates with your songwriter. You know, if I think about why I call myself a song catcher, is because the first process for me is to quiet and to hear. And if I can't hear, then I don't, there's no instinct to take something from nowhere and put it down on paper, and then you can start crafting it as a songwriter. You're always going to need your songwriter to collaborate with your song catcher, but if your song catcher can't hear, what do you have to work on, you know? I don't know if this makes sense, and I don't know if anyone relates, but it's important to feed your song catcher, and your song catcher is fed by strange things. This book is a good way to feed your song catcher because it says fight for your time, fight for your creative time, take yourself on dates, journal in the morning, think about how you're feeling. I find that if I journal in the morning, I put my, you know, subconscious thoughts down on paper, it frees something up in me, you know, and it also feeds my lake, it feeds my creative lake. I have new words, I have new ideas, I have new images that I can draw from when I need to. If I'm going to go do a writing session with Major League, if I journal that morning, chances are that I've got ideas, I've got concepts, I've got melodies, right? So if you feed your song catcher by staying healthy internally and keeping that vessel internally clean, receptive, and ready to hear, and you keep working on your songwriter or your songwriter, let's just keep it there, you'll be able to have something unique to bring from nowhere to somewhere, and then you'll be able to have the tools to take it from average to excellent, you know. So those are the two concepts I wanted to share with you, and I'd love to hear what you're thinking and see if we can talk. Yeah, if that's your process. I mean, that's the thing, is that you're going to develop your own collaboration between your song catcher and your songwriter and the way of working, you know. You might not even need your songwriter for a good while because you just need to understand what you're hearing and understand how you connect to what else is going on, or even what's going on inside of you, what your GPS location is creatively, emotionally, spiritually, is always, and that's got nothing to do with whether you're a good or bad musician, you know. So, yeah, I think that relationship is going to determine your output, how your song catcher and your songwriter relate to each other. Yeah. I don't know if that makes sense. No. Yeah. Sure, there's days where I don't want to write, but then I just have a schedule, and you know, I find that I thrive a lot when there's a bit of structure. I'm a very structured artist. I have Tuesdays to meet with my greater artist community. Mondays I have meetings with my team. Wednesdays I don't take any phone calls, emails. It's my open mode creativity day. I stumble into the studio or onto a page, and I don't come back until I've had enough. You know, on Thursdays, I do something curious. On Friday, I'm probably doing admin, follow-up, you know. So structure helps me. And sometimes, this is what I like about having a routine for writing, you know. I don't write because I feel like it. And I start off quite stream of consciousness, not judging what's on the page, but I'll get to a point where I'm now collaborating with what's going on. But the physical acts of showing up, you know, I think discipline is probably a paramount part of being a creative. Not stressed enough, you know, give yourself structure, give yourself a chance to show up when you don't feel like it. And if you don't, then rest. It means that you have to also understand your seasons. You know, what are you trying to do in that time and space? There could be times where you're not doing anything and you're just feeding your creativity and your person another way. What can I say? I think just do what you can and just be a bit kinder to yourself, you know. Maybe it's just to develop little rituals that you don't compromise. You have a little notebook in your blazer or in your matric jacket. And sometimes it's not like, steal away at break time if you can, and just try and figure out what it is that, locate yourself, find ways to locate yourself, find ways to, I have a friend who suffers from anxiety. And one of the things that she does is she bites into a lemon. When she's starting to feel herself spiral, she just takes a lemon and she bites into it. And she says that shock that goes through her sensory system brings her back from into a physical place. It's like throwing yourself with a bucket of water and saying, I am here. And I think when you're starting to feel that spiral and that overwhelming feeling, try and find little rituals that bring you back, and have little code words for your friends to be like, can someone please snatch me back from where I'm going? And slow down. You're doing well. You're doing well. You're super talented. You're an incredible musician and writer. And you just need to be kind to yourself and slow it all down if you can. That's an amazing question. Yeah, I have to. For me, it's a sort of GPS tool. It's a locator. It's a way to process. So I'm probably on my sixth album in my head, and I don't know if I'm going to share it all, but I needed to make it. I needed to sing it to myself. There's also a fear that I have, more like a respect or trepidation for this space that sometimes I've compromised, but I try to play the songs that have healed me or that have been gifts to me first, enough in my own space for them to be revelations and convictions more times than I play them out to people, right? So there's some songs that I haven't even played to people yet because they still have to settle and do the work in me, right? I haven't earned the right to share them because I don't believe them yet. And they came to me even before I was ready. And I don't know, there's some songs that I probably won't share, but yeah, the short answer is yes, definitely, yeah. Thank you guys, thank you so much, and thank you for staying longer, and I just wish you the best. You're so lucky that you get to sort of navigate creativity as a lifestyle. I would love to sort of open up a way to do this again and to connect if you want to ask about the music industry, if you want to talk about other things, pertaining to creativity and songwriting. I also have extremely talented friends. I've got a great band. If you've got technical questions, I know amazing composers. So if maybe there's a way for us to just open a channel of communication with your teachers, and I don't know, it would be great. I think you guys are great. Yeah, it's been awesome spending a bit of time with you.
Hi, I am Vusi Mahlasela, and I'm here in Mamelodi Township in Pretoria. Yeah, it gives me the great pleasure indeed that you came to really film this in my township. And yeah, I have stayed in Mamelodi almost most of my time. And I was born in Lady Selborne before after my folks were forced removed from Lady Selborne to come to then Vlakfontein, and then to Mamelodi. But I was born in the then Lady Selborne at the Roman Catholic, hospital. But I grew up in Mamelodi all my life. So all my music and everything, most of them, it has been penned and composed here. I have, as a troubadour, traveled all over the world, performed quite a lot of places, collaborated with quite a lot of great names, shaken many people's hands, and that's my reward. My music, I don't have a name, so to say, like other people will give it, a tag, no, I'm playing world music, or no, I play music because it's ranging from quite a lot of variety of styles, to folk, I can fuse some bit of blues or that, any other borrowed music that I find, really comfortable, that, it's sort of like really marry what I believe in. But the more signature of Vusi Mahlasela music is the acoustic guitar and my voice that quite a lot of people love. And I have penned and composed quite a lot of songs that I've performed with other artists, bands, doing solo, duos, and so on. So, yeah. But also there are other songs that are also personal, that I feel that, these are the songs that I just want to do by myself, only just the accent guitar and the voice. Like this piece here, which is more also about the painful history that we come from, from South Africa during the time when there was quite a lot of turmoil under apartheid, This is a song about the wisdom of forgiveness. That there is wisdom in forgiveness. If you learn to forgive, you learn more to release more calmness within the innermost of yourself, and you become more free. But it is more about that painful past where during the time of apartheid, the police were playing with our dead corpses, thinking that we don't know about this. And here I'm saying that we'll call them and teach them about all those injustices. And if they come forward, we will forgive them. But if they don't, we will expose them. And of course, this was written a long time before we were thinking that we were going to go to that phase of the truth and reconciliation. It's called Ubuhle Bomhlaba. I'll just play just a short maybe intro of it. Ubuhle Bomhlaba, the beauty of the land.
Sizokubabiza sibafundise ngazo uma bevuma sikubaxolela uma bengavumisi ukubaveza nezenzo zabo ezimbi zemvelo bazenza izazi zase-Afrika nginje nabalabo yesaba bahambela enxanye njengezinkalankalam baguquka izikhumba njengonwabo bayabuza njengezinyoka baqamba amanga njengamaphepha kanti futhi bayakhohlwa nenxenye yabo inathi ololonginje
Well, I guess we can say that, the young ones, those who are tapping into this industry, into music, whatever, of course, they are trying to move with the times. But there is something, of course, which is really, really, really important and that is missing to them, that, they need some kind of a cultural revolution, to be taught where we come from, where we are now, and then where we are going. Because you won't reach your destiny where you want to go if you don't know where you come from. So, and then we have quite a lot of challenges right now that we can sort of like really, through subject matters that we put in our songs, can address. Well, today, as a musician, whatever, I've been given doctorates, doctorate, University of this, University Natal, whatever. But this, they are more like this, what do you call it, accolades. They become more like a met clock on the wall, if you don't know what they mean to you, because they mean more responsibility to me, to be able to teach those young ones and also inject that cultural revolution that they must know, what to do, where they have to go and where they come from. It is very much important. The subject matter that we have to write about. And I think also with these doctorates that one have been given, it means that as a doctor, my duty is to diagnose the problems that we have nationally and then put it out there for the people to debate. That is my duty. And they have to play a role in that kind of a thing. But I think I've really found a very good platform whereby I can address quite a lot of these issues and subjects that I want to really put forward through music. Not only politically, but socially as well. But also sometimes I do put humor as well. And I've managed to work with quite a lot of artists whom I've drawn quite a lot of inspiration as well, that I've learned quite a lot of things. And I know that we can learn quite a lot also about the trends that the young ones are doing right now with the music they're doing, amapiano, so on and so on. But they must know where the real sound comes from, especially when they are mixing those drums through techno, that the drum that they're mixing and putting effects and everything, there is a real drum whereby this drum has been cut from the tree. And before it was cut, a ritual was performed to pray and ask for the tree. You don't just cut the tree. You pray and ask for permission to do that. And then from there you slaughter, the animal like goat or whatever. And then with that, there's a special process, the ceremony that you do. And then the skin, you also make the drum and everything, whatever. This is very, it is also what we call also part of technology. I have quite a lot of influences, that I sort of like really got and derive from in my music. And then here in Mamelodi, we've got one of our own great, musician who's a master of, what's the word in English? Improvisation. Dr. Philip Tabani. The master of improvisation, and his music, I grew up listening to Philip Tabani, the Julian Bahula, A.B. Kindi, Malombo music. And then, of course, the Miriam Makebas, the Barahu Masekela, the Dark City Sisters, Martha Teen and Mahotela Queens, and all that. But there are other influences that I got also outside, the country, especially from the US. Because at home, my grandmother was the first Shebin queen in Mamelodi, where he championed the township economy by selling and all that. And then there was quite a lot of music that was played on vinyl. And there was quite a lot of, jazz music and American music, Archie Shepp, Mahalia Jackson, and so on and everything, and blues music. So I did a tour with Mr. Taj Mahal. If you can check me that. Mr. Taj Mahal. This is me and Mr. Taj Mahal, who is the three-time Grammy Award winner. And this is his daughter. So I did a tour with Mr. Taj Mahal where he invited me to do this tour in the States. And then he was the producer of my album, Say Africa. And I had very, 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 very enjoying time with Mr. Taj Mahal, very humorous and all that, who's got quite a lot of knowledge in music, in blues and everything and all that. And he loves African music. And by the way, he loves Mahlatini as well. So I did a tour with Mr. Taj Mahal. And when I recorded this song, the album, Say Africa, I had a song, which is a love song, that I did in a blues way. And he loved that. And we collaborated in that song. Mr. Taj Mahal played the banjo, and he also sang. So the song is called In Any Way. So I'll play that right now. I haven't played this song for a long time, but I'm going to challenge myself now.
Somebody please wake me up from this nightmare. Somebody please wake me up, tell me if I'm really here. Oh, if I'm really here. Your love scares me so bad. Like,
No. I have to sing this line. I cannot jump it. I cannot. Why I keep on missing it? Let me do this. I cannot believe I'm loved by you, woman. I cannot believe I'm loved by you, woman. Because if I miss this line, then the whole message is lost. I cannot believe I'm loved by you, woman. I cannot believe I'm loved by... Okay, fine. This was the line. Are we ready?
Whenever you're ready.
somebody please wake me up from this nightmare. Somebody please wake me up, tell me if I'm really here. Oh, if I'm really here. I cannot believe I'm loved by you, oh man. Oh man. Your love scares me so bad, like a knife in my heart, ice in my vein. But I'm still willing to be lucky, to be loved by you, oh man. I see my angels in your eyes, telling me I'm bound to love you endlessly. What did I do to deserve you, oh woman? Strong woman, beautiful woman. Oh, oh, oh. I cannot believe I'm loved by you, oh man. kwakho kuyangimangalisa futhi kunginika lethemba abuthi nokuzotha kwakho kuyangithokozisa ngiyakuthanza mzwane bantu ngiyadifela ngawe kutanjani kuthi mina ngithanza kuwe ngimlo nguwe loyo angikholwa ukuthi ngithanzwa nguwe This is more like the blues. I never thought that one day I would sort of like really, write this kind of a blues. Because, some of the blues songs, they are from 3 chords, maybe from E and so on. But there are other sus chords and whatever, C, whatever. It depends. And then, the blues, it is live from that difficult times of the plantation. In the 1860s to 60-something, whatever, when they were working and toiling in the fields for cottons and so on, and they came up with this music, this blues music. It is more about, about the truth, the true feeling of what they're feeling and all that, but also about the pain. And here, when I did this song, Mr. Taj Mahal, 3-time Grammy Awards winner, So he was like, wow, I've been playing, he called me Vusibility, man. I've been playing blues and all that and the lyrics, whatever, but I've never come to it that, you write such real lyrics, man, like, your love has me so bad, like a knife in my heart and ice in my vein. Oh, man. I've never heard anything. This is really intense. This is really too strong, man. And I was like, wow. But as a writer, I've got the license to use this poetic language, So, and then he was very much impressed that he has never had such a very deep, intense, lyrics like, heart in your, knife in your heart and then ice in your vein. Shoo. And then, but it's a love song still, and talking about this beautiful woman. I see my angels in your eyes, telling me that, I must love you, endlessly. And he was like, wow, yeah. Yeah, there are other songs that I've already written and also that are personal, that is more about, the love of a mother. They play this song quite a lot on Mother's Day. And I recorded with Andy Narell on pure and steel pen drums. There are humorous songs that I've also written, but also politically and social. And people will ask me, but what are you sort of like really selling through your music? I will say, well, I'm selling emotional experiences through my music, because this is something that you cannot touch. You can sell a cell phone, some garments and all the things that you can touch, but music is about feeling of this variety of styles borrowed, blues, folk and all that and everything. It is in my space. And then I do also play quite a lot of typical indigenous South African music. I recorded my last album, Shebin Queen, at my grandmother's place, whom I said that he was the first Shebin Queen in Mamelodi, where I was stamping quite a lot of typical South African indigenous music, which is Mbaqanga, Kwela, Marabi, Mbube, Malombo, and so on. Just like the Jamaicans, you know, they was them reggae as their pride, you know. So Mbaqanga, Kwela, Marabi, Mbube, and all that, it is our South African pride. So, and yeah, but of us and culture, they must do something about this. They are left behind. Well, I guess the legacy that we sort of like really maybe when that time comes we'll leave behind, because I've got a foundation that is doing quite a lot of work, and also we're trying also to document some of the other things that we think that are really important, that the future generation will start to really know and be able to tap on to the DNA of our own forefathers, that music, which is really a very good music that we must tap on and bring it to the forth. But music is music. Doing music, it's something that is sort of more about the folk. The folk means about the people. The folk means the people. So it is about that people, you know, just like, you know, the oral poetry, or we call it maybe in whatever rap, or our poetry. It's about, you know, the history of our people, the geographical areas where the people came from, the first well where they have drank, the wealth that they have accumulated, their heads, cattle, things and everything, whatever, what it means to them, you know, and then to have that, and then also about land, which is very, very, very important. Where lies a dignity of man if he doesn't have land or a place to stay, you know? So some of these subjects in the music we talk about it, whatever. So the land issue has been a very, 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 very long time, whatever. Our people have been having land. And then I have a song called Silang Mabele, which is more about creating the awareness about the agricultural revolution, because agriculture is very much important. But if you don't have land and everything, we talk about food security and things like that, you know, accessibility of food accuracy and all that. So in order to eradicate hunger, we have to eliminate, you know, those elements whereby are stopping people to get food, you know. There is a saying by this man who said, there is a lot on a rich man's perfume than a poor man's plate. Yeah, and that's really sad. So through this, I think the youth, they must tap into this, you know. Don't just write about, you know, money, flashing money, and filing women with the, you know, the short skirts and everything, whatever, you know. But of course, mini skirts, they've been there before. You know, our people, the ladies were wearing the kampong and the skin kampong and thing and all that. But there are times whereby, okay, it is only the young ones who have to wear this, and at this certain stage, you know, becoming a woman, you must wear like this and all that, and then to respect women in some way. And that is why today we're having problems of gender-based violence and things like that, because of the teaching is not getting into our young male ones, how to respect, you know, girls and women, because women are powerful. We're coming from there. The earth I know is a woman. The earth I know is a woman. So, yeah, I think the future of music, we have to like really bring these teachings. As you know, the cultural revolution that I'm talking about for these ones who are going to tap into this, you know, to be able to bring all these subjects, you know, not about the music that is more about money and sex. No. Through my foundation, there is a borrowed in that we use, which is by my favorite African writer, Ngungi wa Thiong'o, who says, Africa, teach your children ancient songs so that they should glorify the spirit of collective good. Not the spirit that glorifies money or sex, but the spirit of collective good, which is that spirit of a gift that we have in Africa, which is a way of life, which is Ubuntu. And Ubuntu is not about you are because I am. No. It is about the collective. So it was put wrong to say you are because I am and individualizing it by those who colonized us, whatever, trying to change the message. No. It is about the collective, Ubuntu, humanity. It is about love, togetherness, empathy, tolerance, respect, togetherness, humbleness, forgiveness, reconciliation, and redistribution. Redistributions of morals, knowledge, and skills. Just like, all of us, in order to survive in this world, you have to have food and also have water to drink in order to survive. So, in order to survive in this planet Earth, you have to be human, and Ubuntu is for all of us. Yeah, this one, it is dedicated to my late grandmother, Mahlasela, who protected me during the time when there was quite a lot of turmoil and apartheid, from the police, when they were coming to sort of like really arrest us for participating in taking part in organizing, rallies by distributing pamphlets and all that. There's a young activist and so on. The story is a bit too long, but I'll just... Let's get out. Through the mist of the tears in your eyes, on my childhood memories, I know the truth in your smile. I know the truth in your smile, piercing through the gloom of my ignorance. Oh, there is a mama lying down, sleeping, the very ill, and the heart crying. Wondering what to see this world coming to. Is it right that small children have to fend for themselves? No. Is it right heaping trouble on an old lady's head? So unlucky, faceless people suffering every day. Damn it! Tomorrow it's gonna be better. Tomorrow it's gonna be better, mama. Tula, don't you cry, mama. Tula, mama. Yes, go back, let's get it, mama. I'm on again that I'm struggle. It's an act of love. Na, 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 na. I might break into the song like the blues man or troubadour, and from long distance in the blues club I might say, baby, 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 baby. Should I now stop singing of love, now that my memory is surrounded by blood? Sister, why, oh why do we at times mistake a pimple for a cancer? La 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 la. So who are they who says no more love poems now? I want to sing a song of love for that woman who jumped the fences pregnant and still gave birth to a healthy child. Na, 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 na. Softly I walk into this embrace of this fire that will ignite my love song, my song of life. My song of love, my song of life, my song of love, my song of life, my song of love, my song of life. Ooh, when I try to run away from song, I hear a persistent voice more powerful than the enemy bombs, demanding this song that washed our lives in the rains of our blood. My song of love, my song of life, my song of love, the song of life, my song of love, my 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 song of life, my song of love, love song, my song of love, sing, my song of love, my song of love, my song of love, love song, my song of life, sing. Love song, my song of life, sing. Love song, my song of life, sing.
So, hi everyone. Thank you so much for having me here. This is super cool. I was also a music student, and I think it all really started for me in school, similarly to you. It's an important time to begin is right now. So don't ever think what you're doing is you're thinking too far ahead. If you feel that pull towards music, go in that direction, you know? And I think I felt the pull in high school as well. I guess I was auditioning for a lot of plays in the theater. I was lucky enough to get really cool roles. And I was always on stage. I was on stage with some really cool people that we all know today in Durban. And I think playing a character, reading a script, all of that really helped me realize that I didn't know how to be someone else. And I struggled reading scripts, and I struggled acting, and I struggled with all those things. And then I auditioned for Idols, and I was singing covers. And singing covers was so cool, but eventually, as soon as I left the competition, nobody wants to hear covers. Everyone wants to hear what you can do, like what's your song, you know? And I think going through that whole process of imitating somebody, acting, made me realize that I want to be me, and I want to make my own songs and be my own person. So I've been making songs since high school, since matric, actually. And I haven't stopped ever since then, yeah. Yo, I grew up listening to Spice Girls. Do you guys even know Spice Girls? Do you know Spice Girls? You guys are young, so I'm just checking. Spice Girls was my thing. And I think as soon as I watched Spice Girls, I was like, I think I want to sing. And then I was like into Tamia. I fell in love with I'm So Into You. And I was like, damn, I love that song. And I would always sing that song. And then my mom played a lot of Cher. Do you guys know Cher? Do you believe in love after love? And I was like, love Cher. And I always used to try and imitate Cher. And I grew up in a very like multicultural home. And I think everyone was listening to different things. My dad was listening to TKZ, and my mom was listening to Lauryn Hill. And so I think those are just a few of the people growing up. But I mean, when I had the choice, I was always listening to Amy Winehouse, Britney Spears, toxic, very toxic. And yeah, I just anything popular culture, obsessed, yeah. So there's many different ways. I think when I started writing music, Idols gave us like a keyboard, and I didn't know how to play the keyboard, obviously. But when you know music, you just like sound, so you play with sound. And I think that's how I started, trying to play chords for myself, and singing to the same chords. People that play music hate people like me, because we have 7 songs in one chord structure. So that was when I was isolated and like very alone. But eventually, you meet people, and that's where collaboration is key. I got to meet people from ASC, which is, you guys know ASC? It's like the Sound Engineering Academy. So I went to college at AFTA, and then there was Sound Engineering College. So they were basically up the road from each other. And there's all these studios in the SABC building, and like, it's just the coolest vibe. And I ended up meeting someone that was playing piano. And ever since that day, I have always composed every song that I've done with somebody that was skilled at what they were doing. So my melody is always influenced by what someone else is doing, the producer. It's not like that maybe for other musicians that play for themselves. Then obviously they come up with the things themselves, but I cannot work without collaboration. So I need to be around somebody that sends me a beat. I listen to all the beats people send me, and somebody that plays piano. So I would say that my songwriting starts with somebody influencing me. I always want to sing the first thing that comes out my mind. I'm not a structured songwriter, so I don't follow the ABB, BBA. I suck at that. And it gets awkward when I'm around real songwriters. I'd say that I'm an artist songwriter, so I write for myself. And I guess it's just like whatever I hear. If I hear something, then you just go off. And then from then you structure. So I can't look at the chair and then start spitting about the chair. I'm not that cool. I wish I was, but I'm not there. So I just do whatever like comes naturally.
Okay. Which is what I wanted to touch on.
Sure. Yeah, thank you so much.
Is that better? Okay. That brings me to the next follow-up, where you speak about collaborations, which is really, I think a lot of us do that. When you get to a point where you might not like what the person came up with, he might not like, we all have found those kind of situations, and I'm sure you've experienced that as well. How do you find a compromise? How do you come to a middle ground when that happens?
It depends whose session it is, I guess. So if you guys are coming together to do something for each other, then it's like, I don't like that. Okay, so match me. What don't you like about it? Tell me. You can't just not like my idea. Like, don't not like the idea. Tell me why you don't like the idea and give me a better idea. So that's how I work. But if it's my session, then sometimes your opinion doesn't really matter to me. Which is bad. Don't quote me. But if it's your session and you like what you've done, then stick to it. And then when people hear your music and they don't like the song, and then maybe you'll decide to take people's advice. But I think if you guys are coming together to work on something, and if you trust that person's opinion, then you say, okay, what don't you like about this? It's a bit weird, right? What do you think should work in place? Like, what line would be better? And then you swap it out for whatever you think works. I went to songwriting camp in January, and I was with 3 other writers, and it was so hectic because I'm not used to working with other writers. But the best music came out of that because we worked together and because it wasn't just my thoughts in the song. Right. So I'm contradicting myself, but I'm saying that there's many ways to do it. It's just whatever feels good to you at the time. If you believe in that idea, stick to it. Yeah. Don't be in studio with people you don't want to be in studio with. Don't write songs with people you don't want to write songs with. Always for the intention of others, which is not the greatest way to write music. But that's not really how it starts, only because it's my professional space right now. But I think before I was writing music for myself, but now I'm writing for everyone. Watch TV. I had a creative block for many years. Like, it's scary. And I think there's many things that you can do to get out of it. One is distance yourself from it. Take some space away from it because it's a creative process, right? So in the same time, you don't want to force it to come out, I was supposed to release an album years ago. I only released it last week. And that was just because it's a creative art, it wasn't something that needed to be out. No one was going to die if I didn't release the album. So take your time, take space away from it. Do something different also. I focused on a festival instead of my album. I was like, this part of singing and writing music is not coming out of me and is not fulfilling me. Let me work on another side of music. Let me create stages and do something different. So for me, when it comes to putting together my albums, I've done 3. I did 1 for my graduation, which nobody's heard, besides my lectures. And then I did 2, obviously, Rose Gold and Trouble in Paradise. And for me, I think when you come out with an album, for me, it's like, it's my story. So it's my big book, and Rose Gold is chapter 1. and Trouble in Paradise is chapter 2. So I like to make sure that there's some sort of like story, you know, and journey of life. So start from the top, whatever you're feeling, and the last part of it is like how it ended, what's the conclusion. Like an essay, intro, body, conclusion, and do that for the album, I guess. Rose Gold is like that for me. It's my life in college. Rose-tinted shades, everything was beautiful. And Trouble in Paradise is the glasses coming off and me being faced with reality, being an adult. So that's my sequence. If money was not involved, would I still perform and make music? Definitely. Yes, definitely. I think I started doing it without getting paid. And I literally can't do anything else. Like, I'm pathetic at everything. All I can do is sing and make a good sandwich and watch TV. So I think I would still be singing, living at home with my mom and dad, being their burden. Yeah, definitely. So today, I woke up, get dressed and ready, come here, do makeup. I always wear makeup, guys. Please don't expect me to not have a face beat. Like, get my makeup done. After here, I have an interview. After the interview, I have another show, and I have a flight back home to Durban. And that's kind of like what most of my life looks like. There's always something to do. I think this idea that you know, there's not a lot to do in the music or creative industry is really a lie. There's preparation, there's a whole lot of things that go into my everyday, and I barely have free time, yeah. From a young age, I thought I was gonna be a ballerina. Very awkward, I know. I thought I was gonna be a dancer. I have no rhythm. So I also thought I was gonna be a chef. That music was never what I thought I would end up doing. I just knew I loved to sing, yeah. All the time. Definitely recently. I think last month I was dying because I had to hand in my album and I was just like, I'm not ready. I don't know if people will like it. I also felt like it was too personal, you know. It's, all of a sudden I didn't want to share what I was going through with everyone, and I was on the brink of just not handing it in and moving past. But you have those days and you must welcome them. Don't avoid like feeling like that. It's normal. You come back to your senses. That's the story of my life. That's the story of my life. I can give you 2 examples. So I finished Suited and I felt like there was something missing from the song. I had handed it in, it was ready to come out. And then I was like, no, there's something missing. Like, I need to ask someone else for help. And then I took the song to Maporisa, and he listened to it, and he added the section that goes, never, never know, yeah. So that was never in the song before. And it's such an important part of the song. So sometimes asking people for help is great. But then we have Trouble in Paradise. I had many people come in and help me write choruses, verses. I took all of them out 2 weeks before I handed the album in and redid them. So I also get to the space where I'm like, but I don't like your advice, but I don't like what I did either. So somebody's got to be able to fix the song. Like, that's the story of my life with Insecure, the song Insecure, Fixate. They all had completely different melodies, different verses, outros and intros. You just eventually have to let it be, because it's never going to be perfect. Nothing is perfect. So don't expect the song to be perfect. Yeah. so important to have an understanding of the business side of music. I don't know if you guys have social media and you see the mess that's happening on social media right now. Without mentioning names, is artists realizing that, wow, we've been messed up. And it's always too late, you know? There's people that don't have access to their Vivo accounts on YouTube right now. There's people that haven't been paid for songs that they've written. To avoid that, take a course in music business. It sucks, but you're better off that way. I fall under the same category. As much as I feel like I'm so hands-on, I know everything gets CC'd to me. I read everything again. You can never be, like you have to continue wanting to know more. You have to know your splits. How are you splitting these royalties? There has been, even last year, there was times where I realized I wasn't collecting royalties for certain types of royalties, and I feel like I know everything, you know? But you can never know enough. So if you don't want to find yourself in a place where you resent the people you work with, and you feel like you've been cheated, do the homework, you know? Do the homework, and knowledge is power. Like, don't leave here and immediately try and jump into releasing music or whatever it is that you guys are into. I think make sure you can get as much information as you can on everything. When it comes to the splits of the songs, how you split the songs, when it comes to gigs, speak to people also. I think that's what's beautiful about having a class full of people. Chat to each other. What you know, I know it's not a nice question to ask, but what are you getting paid? What are you getting paid? I think at the end of the day, as much as we like to keep that information to ourselves, as musicians and as people in the arts, we don't have unions. We don't have anyone fighting for us. So it's important for us to kind of come together and understand how things are done so you don't feel cheated. So as much as I feel like I'm extremely hands-on at what I do, I still feel like there's so much more I can learn. So I will be going back to school next year because I just feel like the learning can never end. Yeah. My final words, guys, is that it's okay to be crazy. It's okay to be weird. It's okay to be different. It's okay to not fit in. And you have to love yourself before anyone else can love you. So you have to like your music and you have to love you as a person before you expect your audience to do that for you. And I think COVID taught me that, you know, without having an audience, you know, there was no one screaming my name and telling me I was great, and it was awkward for me, which is weird. But I had to go through a process of having to learn how to love me, ugly me, pretty me, all versions of you. So you guys are perfect the way you are, and just continue to be your own team player, like be on your team before anyone else is on your team. Yeah. Thank you so much for letting me speak to you guys. Oh, that's such a cool question. I don't even know. I think recently I really like the second verse of Tides. I said, no man is an island, no matter what I say, cost of love is so pricey, chasing you at a high speed, but it don't matter, like you matter. If it's true love, I'll swim for you, love. So I know it's very simple, but it's my favorite few lines at the moment, yeah. Thank you so much, guys. I hope this was a little bit helpful.
That's expressive music. That's called the blues. So before we continue, I'd like to introduce my co-presenter, Standard Bank Young Artist Award winner, Mr. Mandla Mhlangeni. He's also part of the house band that performed on the festival with us.
Yeah.
It's been a pleasure to be working with you the past week.
Always a pleasure, Avzal. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having me.
Mandla. And thanks for doing this with me.
Yeah.
So I've made a couple of notes here because, you know, there's such a lot to cover. And in order to keep my train of thought, this little old man has to refer to notes occasionally. So I hope you guys don't mind me doing that. But you know, it's a rhythm and blues festival. So let's talk a little bit about the blues. It's such an important aspect about music, modern music. In fact, the past 100 years, and even stretching back into the 1800s, the blues have played a vital role. It's been an important component. And almost all of the modern music that we hear today. So we're going to look at some of the cultural and historical contexts of this kind of music and the development and the syntax and the language, because like all of modern music that we have today, it does have its own language. It has its own syntax, its own structures, its own forms. And these syntaxes have been incorporated into a lot of the styles, popular styles of music that we have today. Pretty much like any language, you know, we draw from other languages. Words like Renaissance from Italian and nuance from French that are now part of the English language. And so the same thing with the blues. So I'm just going to have a look at where I'm going with this, and we'll take it from there. So as you heard in that introduction there, you know, the blues is a universal language, and it's based in deep expression, expressiveness, and a feeling of the human condition. And people often wonder where did this all start from? And it takes us back to the slave trade that started in the 1800s. Takes us back to the fields of Louisiana, you know. But this kind of music is immediately recognizable. It's so unique. It's just the way it feels, you know, both for the listener and for the performer. I mean, as I'm sure Mandla will agree, we love playing this kind of music simply because of the expression that it creates and the feeling that it's able to give both to the listener and to the performer. Is there anything you'd like to add, Mandla?
Yeah, great point, Avzal. In saying that the blues in itself, in its essence, is more than just the blues. It is a form, it is a genre, and it is also embodies a scale, a particular scale, a movement in the notes that expresses the tumultuous times that the music found itself in. Blues has a history in American music as being the quintessential American music from its history of slavery. And it took shape in the form of field hollers through the adoption of Christianity by many of the slaves. And through the years, developed its own syntax and how it was institutionalized. And I think you can develop further into the blues form.
Which, you know, you've already led us into that when you discussed the scale.
Yes.
And that's part of the syntax. So we're going to look at a little bit of the form. You get different forms, but the 12-bar blues is the most common form of them all. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to just play the harmonic structure of a 12-bar blues. And Mandla spoke about the scale, and he'll play the scale across that entire structure, just so that you can see how that scale relates, how those simple 7 notes relate to this form, and how they then become the basis for further improvisation. So shall we do that?
Yes, but maybe before we start, what is a blues scale?
Shall I leave that up to you, or shall we both talk about it?
Let's maybe explain it and maybe give the context of what the blues scale is.
Okay. I'll start with the standard scale of 7 notes.
Yeah.
But now, something changes in those 7 notes. Do you notice how radically different that sounds?
Yes. Now I hear.
You want to tell us a bit about that?
Yes. So we have a thing. We break music up into scale forms, from degrees of 1 to 7. 1 accounting for the root, and then the second accounting for the super, depending on what you call it, which is the second degree of the scale, and the third note. And the third note is where the magic happens. And then we go to the fourth, 5, 6, 7, and then 1 again.
We're back to the octave. Now, the magic about scales is they lay the foundation for harmony.
Yes.
And all harmony comes from this. So you'll hear this kind of thing happening. So when you start becoming involved with music and you start practicing, you have to see the context between how scales fit in with chords, how they fit in with harmony. They're not two separate entities. They're so closely related to each other. The one forms the relationship for the other to build up. So that's how kind of, when you start looking at improvisation, for example, this is the foundation. This is where you start doing it. You'll read about chord scale relationships. This is really what it's all about. So the first degree is always a major. The second degree is always a minor. Third degree is a minor. Fourth degree, major.
Major.
The fifth degree, now check this out, becomes a dominant.
6 becomes
The
a
sixth
minor.
becomes a minor. The seventh is your diminished scale, diminished chord, and back to the mother or the father or the root scale. So you see how important it is to get your harmony in place before you even start thinking about improvisation.
Very integral. And then maybe to add to that is that we have a 5-note grouping that we also get the blues scale from, called the pentatonic. So if you wanted to create a blues scale, you'd actually have to choose from 2 pentatonics, right? So we have the major pentatonic, and then we have the minor pentatonic. So with the minor pentatonic, that's where the magic happens. We can add the flattened 5th or the sharp 4. And with that minor pentatonic, that's where we get the blues. When we add the flat 5.
The flattened third, the flattened fifth, the flattened seventh. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play just a 12 chord sequence, and Mandla is going to play the blues scale across that entire sequence, so you can see how this relates and how it falls into place.
So maybe can we also teach them the blues scale?
That was a demonstration of a very basic 12-bar blues that I played over there. But the blues has expanded a lot more than just those 12 bars, those 3 simple chords. Because as music progressed and as jazz started developing, you had people like Charlie Parker and Dizzy Gillespie and Thelonious Monk coming along and expanding on this structure of the traditional 12-bar blues. So they started adding things like turnarounds, passing chords. And we'll kind of just do a little demonstration of something of a typical Charlie Parker style blues. So you can just see the difference between the two, between the really basic one and the possibilities, the potential of where the blues can actually go to. It's just another form of this particular kind of music. But this is really just planting a seed. It's just a very, very brief introduction for people that want to go ahead and explore this music further. You know, this music got incorporated into every kind of musical style that we have today, from Count Basie to Glenn Miller, to Elvis Presley, to the Beatles, to folk music, country and western, wherever you wherever you listen to music, invariably the blues has got an influence in this music. And people kind of take it for granted, but if you really get into a study of this, it becomes a lifetime's worth of study. Just learning the inflections and the syntax and the correct usage of this, for example. You know, even your heavy metal bands, even your rock bands, all of them, you know, you listen to guitarists today, they all love using the blues scale. That's the primary scale that everybody goes to. And even jazz musicians, when they start learning to improvise, that's the first scale that they learn to work with. And once you kind of understand that, everything else becomes like relatively easy and relatively straightforward. So I think that's pretty much, you know, we've got time constraints, so unfortunately we can't cover as much as we'd like to. This could actually become a 2-hour workshop, you know, over 2 weeks, if we really get into the intricacies of the blues and how it develops into jazz and into all of the modern music forms. But hopefully a seed has been planted, and hopefully some of you will be curious enough to go out there and to do some of your own research and to kind of read up a little bit on the origins of this music and how it influences all of modern music. It's been a pleasure doing this with you guys. We hope you enjoyed this. Thanks, Mandla, for joining me for this one.
Yeah, appreciate it. Yeah.
Appreciate it as well. Cheers, people.